Well, good morning, everyone. And in our first map today, we're going to look at the National Weather Service's total precipitation from Hurricane Fiona that hit Puerto Rico. We can still see that as well forecast by the National Weather Service. Many locations here saw rainfall totals that exceeded 18 to 20 inches, with a few places we've seen some of the stations reporting almost up to 30 inches of rainfall from this system. Now, this map was valid last evening, but it just shows you how incredibly powerful this hurricane was, as it delivered a tremendous amount of rain sneaking right here along the southern coast. Well, Hurricane Fiona's path has been very well forecast by the National Weather Service despite large model spread earlier in the week. And the National Hurricane Center's latest update continues to show this, which is our first major hurricane of the year. That means Category 3 strength or stronger, moving just to the west of Bermuda, which follows very much what we talked about yesterday. You can also see how it will be pulled into this deeper trough that will be coming into New England. And I'd like to show you that just here in a few seconds. But what's really got me quite concerned is what's following this. Okay, so yesterday we talked about how the models had picked up on a potential system developing, right here in the Atlantic, and but the probabilities of development were quite low yesterday. The National Hurricane Center, of course, has done quite a bit of investigation into this, and they've now increased the risk up to 50% of this developing after passing over the Lesser Antilles and getting into the Caribbean. And that particular system early this morning on satellite is showing quite a bit. Look at this. We'll just kind of rock back and forth over the last couple hours here. And you can see very intense convection here, which is an early signal that the system is going to have the ability to become organized and start to develop an area of low pressure. So the latest update from the European model does suggest that this moves through over the next 5 days into the Caribbean, possibly 7 or 8 days from now, moving here between Yucatan and Cuba. And the biggest concern we're going to have is that several of the model runs from both the GFS and the European model want to take what's left of this and put it into the Gulf of Mexico, which is an environment that's right now primed for tropical development. So this is going to be front of mind for us for the next several days, as we have yet to get a system into the Gulf, a big one into the Gulf this year. And we just need to be on the lookout for that. From here, let's just go look at the sunrise this morning across the country. We had deep convection last night that moved over parts of Wisconsin, some very strong storms in through here. And throughout this morning, you can still see the large anvil of those storms moving out of eastern Wisconsin. We have a low that's exiting New England. There's Fiona. And behind it, we have quite a bit of kind of clear skies. But you can just barely see the two main features we're going to talk about. And that is going to be this low moving through the Canadian Prairie, just north of the image here, and the cutoff low that is still sitting off of California, delivering a lot of rainfall. Now, between the two things, so here and here, is this surge of moisture coming up through the Four Corner states, which the sun is just now rising on. And what we have to be on the lookout for is how these things are going to time together to, one, increase chances for stronger storms, and two, heavier rainfall. So today's severe storm risk, we've already identified this area, but tomorrow it's going to be in the eastern Great Lakes, and by Thursday it could be in parts of the mid-Atlantic. Let's get a quick idea here on the timing of this by going to the high-res NAM. So starting this off, there we go. Let's start this off by 8 o'clock. Here's the first complex of storms we're talking about. They move possibly across Lake Michigan into Michigan and possibly clipping Chicago and northern Indiana. Now playing it forward here, you can now see that low by this evening rolling up here through parts of Manitoba. And the front that it drags through by early Wednesday morning will have already dropped the temperatures several degrees. We'll talk about the temperatures in a moment here. But watch how that front links up by Wednesday morning with this surge of moisture coming through Arizona and Utah into Colorado. Now that's going to increase the chances for rain in this area. It's kind of spurred along by the deeper circulation around that cutoff low we've spent a lot of time talking about this week. So you can almost get a sense of like flow coming around like this, right? And the deeper low that's sitting here, okay, it's got a front that drapes just into this area. So this is going to bring in chances of rain out of Colorado into southern Nebraska, northern Kansas, into Missouri, a place that today will see triple-digit heat. And the low moves through Idaho, that came out of California, and eventually brings in some rain possibly into Montana, although we are expecting to see a larger area where the rain shadow will sit. To pick it up from there, let's go over to the European model. Let's get up to that same spot here. There we are. This is now, let's go straight to Thursday morning. So that's when the low is pushing through Montana. There's the main front with high pressure behind it, cooler air certainly back there. And then what we're going to watch later is Fiona gets pulled to the north into the Canadian Maritimes by the front that clears. We talked about this in last night's in-depth forecast. But one of the big features of last night's forecast was the change in the jet stream pattern, which is now creating a much deeper trough over the east. So watch by the end of this week how that's going to favor more showers and possibly some thunderstorms here through the Midwest, pulling into the east. See it there by Sunday and Monday. That's the consequence of having a much larger ridge forming in the west and a deeper trough over the east. So that kind of gets us out there. That trough looks like this by the time we get into Tuesday. Much more highly amplified pattern. And the models have again kept this quite deep. What's important about that is if the ridge sits here and there's a trough in this area, that could allow whatever comes out of the Caribbean as that tropical system to come right in between the two. There'd be a lower wind shear environment. The front would have already cleared the east coast. This ridge could help pull the system back farther into the Gulf of Mexico, which means that's something we're really going to have to watch. But in the United States before this gets here, this is convergent flow in the jet stream, which is why we see the week 2 forecast favoring drier conditions here. The unknown is where this tropical system emerges in the Caribbean and eventually into the Gulf. All right, let's finish this up with a quick discussion on temperatures, and then we'll talk South America, and I'll wrap it up. Today, extremely hot, could be setting some new daily records in through here, but you're going to watch the cold front slicing through here by Wednesday, the upper level low keeping things cool over California, Nevada, and Oregon. And then that front continues to dive farther to the south on Thursday. But that's about as far south as it's going to make it. It will push east, as you can see here. The Carolinas temperatures drop off. But you'll notice by Friday, getting into Saturday, there's a kind of a rebound, quick rebound here in temperatures in the midsection of the country. But it is, fall, and that second trough develops Sunday into Monday and slides right over the same area, knocking the temperatures back off again in the eastern Great Lakes, really the whole of the Great Lakes, and then into the northeastern United States as heat builds to the west. So it's the overnight lows I've been concerned about. Wednesday morning could see a frost right here in this part of Montana. Then you get into Thursday morning, a lot of 30s being forecast here. So patchy frost is going to possibly be an issue here. And then we get into Friday morning, and now we're talking about the UP of Michigan, northern Wisconsin as having the frost threat. Into the weekend, though, the temperatures, start to do their rebound. But it is quite normal to see lows in the 40s and 30s here for this time of year as we finish up this month of September. Now, the frost threat, according to the National Digital Forecast Database, is shown in gray over the next 7 days. Does not mean you can't have a frost outside of what this map says. It's just where the National Weather Service is currently placing that. And to show you those temperatures, you'll see the ridge really rebuild in the west. See that? As that deeper trough takes hold over New England as we finish September and start October. But after that, it would appear in the models that there's a warm-up for the beginning of October. But watching several pieces move around in October, including the polar vortex, which will be a player a couple months from now, and also the Pacific jet stream behavior, which is right now quite retracted. So last thing I'll share with you is just an update from last night's in-depth forecast. We are seeing better chances for the rain we would need to get the crop going here across much of Brazil. Remember, we're looking for about a 2-inch rainfall over a time period here of about 10 days. And the models are suggesting a 60 to 90% chance of that occurring. So this is possibly going to push the Brazilian planting time period ahead and get things going quickly down there. So we'll keep an eye on all of it. Report back to you again tomorrow morning. Thanks.